Hello, welcome to the Random News, and I'm going to be talking about a bit of a controversial subject today, and we'll try and stay as impartial as possible and then cite my opinions on it at the end of the video. So, I'm going to give it a quick brief rundown if I can make it brief, so I'm sorry if it says that it's like 30 minutes long, and yeah, but it's going to be as brief as I can put it. Some people on my subscribers list and people that watch my channel may not know about this, but there's quite a few people that do, and I'm going to talk about Gamergate. Now, Gamergate is a bit of a play on words, which I'll explain later, but essentially I'm going to go from the start, from the very beginning, and then move forward. Now, obviously over the past few years, gamers have been feeling increasing amounts of disdain towards the gaming industry, namely the publishing side of things, and the media, and the marketing end of things. I mean, sometimes developers, but personally I don't blame developers too much for things that are going wrong in the industry, because at the end of the day, publishers have the last say on things when it comes to microtransactions and DLC. So I blame the publishers. We all know this. You've seen previous videos of mine, and you'll know my views on the current state of the gaming industry and towards certain publishers in the gaming industry. That being said, gamers have been getting rather pissed off for quite a while, and they've also been getting rather pissed off for quite a while with certain corrupt elements in the gaming media circle. Now, I'm not going to cite specific examples of this because it's all been done before, but we all know it's happened. There's been plenty of examples of corruption, and people have been raving about it for years now, about how certain games media outlets are giving positive reviews for games that don't deserve it, sheerly on the fact that they've been given handouts or bonuses from the publisher to do so, which is obviously wrong and rather corrupt and bad. In the past few weeks, a couple of events have occurred that have kind of caused a bit of a fucking explosion, which then started the Gamergate Wars. That's what I'm going to call them, the Gamergate Wars, because that's insane. It's rife with extremism on both sides, and that's why I'm trying to be careful about talking to this, which I never normally do, because I'm normally right on the front lines of these things, but I've came in late, so I'm going to try and be objective. Now, what's happened is a certain games developer, and they are on the indie side of games development, has had sexual relations, supposedly, with a certain games journalist from a certain games media outlets. And obviously that is a conflict of interest with no stretch of the imagination to that there. It's just simply that. In any kind of situation, in any kind of industry, if that kind of thing occurred, it would be seen as a conflict of interest. And that's what's got people rolled up initially. So gamers have gone out and gone, this is wrong! And then, as has happened in the past, like a small group of people have then slung abuse at the people involved to the point where there's been death threats. We've seen it happen before, and I don't think this will be the last time that we see this happen. Now, before I continue, I'd like to point out that I am a bit left-wing in my political views. I'm a bit of a lefty, and with that being said, I try to be tolerant of a lot of things, and I would love to see an equal world, just a world where everyone is equal. I love the idea of equality. So, that being said, I'll continue. There was this woman who had a Kickstarter across the whole timeline of all these events. She got a Kickstarter. She started a documentary on the sexism of the gaming industry and how it's a male-dominated industry, and it's a bit chauvinistic and a bit misogynistic and all those nasty things. And she's got this documentary series going on whilst all this is going on. Now, she obviously speaks out because one of the parties concerned who have had this conflict of interest with the sexual relations across journalism and development sides of the industry, people attacked the female party in that, which obviously, being that this woman is a feminist, has then spoken out against these people, and to be honest, in a way rightly so, because there's a certain point when you turn around and go, I disagree with this and this is wrong, and I'm exposing that this is wrong and something should be done about it, and then there's the point where it changes from that and becomes rather dark and violent. It becomes harassment. It becomes an extreme form of harassment. And that's what happened. It went about 8 steps too far. I know why this sparked this whole war up, though, at the same time. It happened at the perfect time during people's disdain towards the industry, their disappointment, their anger towards the corrupt elements and the bullshit that gamers were being shoved in their faces and expected to swallow from the publishers and from the media, marketing departments and the PR guys and everything. And then all of a sudden there's this perfect example, this 100% perfect example of like, you can't deny this anymore. This shit happens. And that was that conflict of interest that caused that. Obviously, where you've got people have done this harassment thing, and then this woman has then spoke out against it, and she's a bit of a public figure, it's exploded. There's like three sides of the argument. There's the feminist side, then there's the game journalism side, and then there's the gamers. Now, the games journalists, after all this exploded, started to say that gamers are dead. Articles were coming up on websites and in journalists' personal Tumblr, Twitter accounts, all sorts, across social medias. And the journos said that gamers as an identity are dead, because gaming has moved on from its old grassroots and now is mainstream and everyone games. And like there's this whole, oh, you're not a real gamer if you play Candy Crush. Well, the thing is it's not like you're not a real gamer in my eyes. I think it's, you are a casual gamer. I am a gamer because I like all sorts of games. I mean, I can't say that I didn't play Bejeweled and like it. The only reason I don't like Candy Crush is because it's full of microtransactions. And it's made by King, who are renowned for stealing games. I mean, they don't give two shits about copyright law, so long as they ain't getting sued for it. But that's something for another video. I mean, they're saying that gamers as an identity are dead, and the gamers out there, they've tried to put gamers in this little box, just this small group that harassed and have threatened people's lives and harassed them on social networks. The journalists have tried to cram everyone in that box, every gamer, everyone that considers themselves a gamer, and I've considered myself a gamer since I was, I don't know, like 4 or 5. I started playing Sonic the Hedgehog, 4 or 5, and I had a Commodore 64. I've had a massive run of consoles. There's not been a time in my life since way back then where I didn't have a console or something that I played video games on. Of all kinds. So, to be shoved in a group with guys who are sort of harassing this person, the way that they harassed him, it was rather sexist in a way. So, to be crammed in this little box and basically be told that all gamers are sexist and they're a dying identity, like social identity, is kind of disturbing to me. And I think it's kind of strange that gaming media, mainstream gaming media journalists, are saying this to gamers who are their customers, essentially. We are the people that read your articles, we are the people that watch your videos, we are the people that seek you out to find out what's going on in the gaming world as a whole, and now they're kicking every gamer in the teeth. Don't understand why you do that. But then again, at the same time, when an entity gets attacked in such a way, because it has been an attack on games journalism as a whole, that's what it is. It's an attack on games journalism. Since these events have occurred, gamers have come up in arms at games journalists, and some people are saying things need to change. Other people saying everyone needs to be sacked. We need people to do their jobs. And when faced with that kind of threat, you're going to try and defend yourself. I think they went the wrong way about it. I do. I think they went the wrong way about it. You don't go ahead and like basically F you to the customers. That's not the way business is done in general. But it blows my mind because on one side we've got anyone that speaks out against the people that had the conflict of interest, the people that had the sexual relation. Anyone that speaks out against them is now being labelled sexist and male chauvinistic, no matter how they address the situation. And then anyone who's supporting the journalists or the feminists are being labelled as social justice warriors because they don't like sexism. I don't get it. I just don't. No one's taking a middle ground here. No one. And the fact of the matter is, not everyone's sexist, not every gamer is sexist. And this will be where my opinion comes into the video, ladies and gentlemen. About time! Now, not every gamer out there is sexist. And I'm sure not every journalist out there is corrupt. And I'm sure not every feminist out there is, as some people have said, flat out lying. Without going into that whole side of the thing, which would probably have to be an entirely other video. that's what's been said to the feminist side, that the feminists are flat out lying, or the person who was making that documentary series in particular was lying in her videos. I'm sure that not every feminist is like that. Me personally, I'm a gamer that would like to be a journalist if I got given a chance, but I haven't, and I probably won't because I'm not professional enough to do so. Believe me, it's probably the most professional I've ever fucking been in my life. Being that I'm a gamer for my entire life, and I'm trying to see the middle ground here, and I've deliberately, since I discovered about this, avoided the arguments and discussions and fighting that's occurring online, and just looked at articles that are trying to be impartial about a thing. And I've looked at multiple ones from different viewpoints, and all I'm saying is a lot of people are not being very eloquent in their discussions, and it's causing arguments, and that's unfortunate. It happens, but we need some people to step up and just sort of go, hey, there is corruption in games journalism. You can't deny that. It occurs. What are you doing to stop it? Or are you encouraging it? Because if you're encouraging it, then fuck you. Basically. And we need someone to go to the feminists. Look, chill. These guys, the people that are slinging sexist insults towards anyone involved in this argument, can fuck off. Simple as that. And as for the feminists, you need to stop labelling every single person as being a male chauvinist, or a sexist, or misogynistic straight male guy, because they are expressing their disdain towards the games industry because of the actions that involved one woman. This shit needs to calm down. I'm not saying that we don't need to discuss it. I'm not saying that it doesn't have to be a hot debate, because it does. If there is any corruption in journalism, which there is, it needs to be rooted out. The reason why games journalism is going slowly down the toilet, and it has been even before all of this happened, this Gamergate, play on words, Watergate scandal that has occurred, even before all this, games journalism was on a downward spiral, because there's so many different outlets that people can get their gaming news from, like me, or Total Biscuit, or Jim Sterling, or various other gaming media outlets that are not even a part of the media. They're just YouTubers or forums. Or, I mean, the fact is, it used to be magazines. They were the king of games media magazines. No one else could get a game early. There was nowhere else you could get demos from. There was nowhere else you could get early looks, previews, reviews, the lot. It was just gaming magazines. And then the internet came along. Then came the gaming websites. And they've been dominant for a long time, and they've been going downhill steadily since the internet really matured in the way that information is shared around. I mean, I think that the amount of corruption has gone up considerably the more that the gaming websites have been coming down from their peak. I think it's caused a considerable amount of corruption. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be debated. It just needs to be debated in a civilised manner. No one's going to get anywhere by labelling each other like social justice warrior and, oh, you're a misogynist and you're sexist. Oh, you're just some psycho little gamer that's going to harass anyone that disagrees with you on the internet and hack them or spread their personal details on the net. Because not everyone is like that. Those are just three extreme examples of people in the argument. And it just needs to stop. Just needs to stop. This could be talked about for days on end. But I've got to go. And the fact is, I'm glad that gamers are finally standing up and expressing their disdain towards certain elements in the industry. I am disappointed that the spark that lit the fuse to cause the fire that apparently rises, by the way, that's a hashtag I've seen, the fire rises, just so happened to piss off the feminists. It's unfortunate that happened, I think. It didn't have to be quite so controversial. Could have been anything that could have sparked that off. Any kind of definitive proof that there was some form of corruption. That was undeniable. Which is what this is. This is an undeniable conflict of interest. And that's why it's being used as an example. It's just unfortunate that it's caused so much controversy, really. This should just be a sort of gaming industry argument. Because it is just gamers versus certain corrupt elements in the industry. Anyway, if you are a gamer, don't be ashamed to call yourself a gamer. The identity of the gamer is not dead. It has evolved. It has changed over the years. But there is a certain element that will never change, and that is the hardcore gamer. I don't see us going away anytime soon, do you? There's plenty of us out there. I mean, look at how many sales hardcore AAA games get and indie games get. It's ridiculous. The industry is huge, and that is a great thing. It's just unfortunate that certain elements have become corrupt. But that's what you got to expect. Where there's money, there is corruption. And where there's corruption, there is greed. That's the way the world works, unfortunately. But that is it from me. Over. Thank you for listening to an idiot on a microphone. Do that stuff that every other channel tells you to do. And I will hopefully see you soon. Goodbye.